When a young cowboy discovers his uncle's hidden map to a legendary lost mine, he uncovers a family secret that forces him to choose between fortune and the lives of an entire Mexican village. The smell hits Jake first, not the familiar scent of leather and hay that should fill Uncle Ezra's barn, but something metallic and wrong. Copper pennies left in summer rain. Blood. Jake Martinez pushes through the barn door, his spurs catching on the warped wood. The Texas heat presses against his back like a living thing, but inside the barn, the air is cool and thick with secrets. His boots crunch on something that shouldn't be there, broken glass scattered across the hay-covered floor like fallen stars. Uncle Ezra's workbench lies overturned, tools scattered. But it's the dark stain spreading across the wooden planks that makes Jake's stomach clench. Fresh blood still wet enough to reflect the afternoon light streaming through the barn slats. "Uncle Ezra?" Jake's voice echoes in the empty space. No answer. Just the whisper of wind through the gaps in the barn walls and the distant lowing of cattle that should have been tended hours ago. Jake's hand instinctively moves to the Colt at his hip, a habit learned from 3 years riding the range where danger wore many faces. Something glints beneath the overturned workbench. Jake kneels, his leather chaps creaking, and pulls out a brass compass. The metal is warm as if recently held. Engraved on the back, "Para mi hermano, MV 1847, Spanish." For my brother. But Uncle Ezra never mentioned having a brother, Mexican or otherwise. Jake turns the compass over in his calloused hands, feeling the weight of secrets heavier than gold. The compass needle spins wildly, then settles, pointing not north, but toward the back wall of the barn. Jake follows its direction, his boots echoing on the wooden floor. Behind a stack of feed sacks, his fingers find what the compass seeks, a loose board in the barn wall. The board slides away easily, revealing a hidden compartment carved into the wall itself. Inside, a rolled piece of leather, yellow with age and brittle as autumn leaves. Jake's hands shake as he unrolls it, revealing not just any map, but a treasure map straight out of the dime novels he read as a boy. Hand-drawn landmarks stretch across the leather surface. The Rio Grande, marked with careful Spanish script, mountain ranges sketched in fading ink, and there, marked with an elaborate X, Mina de la Esperanza Perdida, the mine of lost hope. But it's the signature at the bottom that stops Jake's heart. Miguel Vasquez. 1840 Vasquez, his mother's maiden name, the name she whispered in her sleep during her final illness, along with words in Spanish that Jake never understood. Words about gold and betrayal and blood on the desert sand. Jake's mind races. If this Miguel Vasquez was family, if this map is real, then the stories Uncle Ezra dismissed as Mexican folklore might be true. The legendary lost mine that supposedly held enough silver to buy half of Texas. The mine that vanished during the Mexican-American War, along with the family that owned it. His family. The barn door creaks behind him. Jake spins, the map clutched to his chest, expecting to see Uncle Ezra's familiar weathered face. Instead, he finds himself staring down the barrel of a Winchester rifle. Well, little Jake found Uncle Ezra's secret. The voice belongs to Tom Brennan, the town sheriff and Uncle Ezra's oldest friend. But there's nothing friendly in his pale blue eyes as he steps into the barn, his rifle never wavering from Jake's chest. "Sheriff Brennan, where's my uncle? What happened here?" Brennan's laugh is dry as desert wind. "Your uncle got careless, boy. Started asking too many questions in town. About old Mexican land grants. About families that disappeared during the war." Jake's blood turns to ice water. "You killed him." Ezra killed himself the moment he decided to dig up the past. Brennan steps closer, his boots crunching on the broken glass. "That map's been lost for 25 years. A lot of people died to keep it that way." The sheriff's eyes fix on the leather in Jake's hands with the hunger of a starving wolf. "See, that mine ain't just full of silver, boy. It's full of secrets. Secrets about what really happened to the Vasquez family. About who really owns half the land in this county." Jake's mind flashes to childhood memories he'd buried deep. His mother crying over letters written in Spanish. Uncle Ezra's sudden wealth after the war, the way he'd bought up land from Mexican families fleeing north. The way certain names were never spoken in their house. The Vasquez family. Jake whispers. They were murdered. Brennan's smile is cold as winter moonlight. "War's a messy business, boy. Sometimes good men have to do bad things for the greater good." Your uncle understood that once upon a time. The truth hits Jake like a physical blow. Uncle Ezra hadn't just found the map, he'd helped steal it. Had helped murder the family it belonged to. Jake's family. Of course, that was a long time ago. Brennan continues. Ancient history. What matters now is that map. Hand it over, and we can forget this whole unpleasant business. Jake's grip tightens on the leather. And if I don't, then you'll have the same accident your uncle had. Tragic, really. Young Cowboy gets thrown from his horse, breaks his neck. Happens all the time. Jake's eyes dart around the barn, looking for escape, for options, for anything that might give him an advantage. That's when he notices it, a second loose board, this one near the floor. The compass in his pocket grows warm against his leg, its needle spinning toward this new hiding place. You know what I think, Sheriff, Jake says, buying time as he edges toward the wall. I think you're scared of what's in this mine. Not the silver, the truth. Brennan's finger tightens on the trigger. Don't be clever, boy. It don't suit you. Jake's boot finds the loose board. With a quick movement, he kicks it aside, revealing another hidden compartment. Inside, a leather-bound ledger, its pages filled with careful handwriting in both English and Spanish. What's that? Brennan demands, but his voice carries a note of fear. Jake flips through the pages, his heart pounding. It's a record, a detailed account of land sales, murders, and thefts dating back to 1847. And there, on page after page, two signatures, Sheriff Tom Brennan Sr. and Ezra Martinez. It's a confession, Jake breathes. Your father and my uncle, they kept records of everything. Every family they killed, every piece of land they stole, every life they destroyed. The ledger tells a story of systematic genocide disguised as war. Mexican families lured to remote locations with promises of safe passage north, then murdered for their land grants and silver. The Vasquez mine was just the beginning. Dozens of families, hundreds of thousands of acres, all stolen through blood and betrayal. My mother, Jake whispers, the pieces falling into place. She was a Vasquez. She survived. Brennan's face goes white. That's impossible. We killed them all but one little girl who hid in the mine while you butchered her family. A little girl who grew up and married a Martinez, never knowing her husband's brother was one of her family's killers. Jake looks up from the ledger, his eyes blazing with righteous fury. That's why Uncle Ezra kept this record. Guilt. He couldn't live with what he'd done, so he documented it all. Every crime, every victim, every stolen acre, the sheriff's rifle wavers. You don't understand, boy. It was war. We were patriots protecting American interests. You were murderers protecting your own greed. Jake? Jake, are you in there? A new voice calls from outside the barn. Jake's heart leaps. It's Maria Santos, the school teacher from town. The woman he's been courting for months, the woman he'd planned to ask for her hand in marriage. Maria, stay back, Jake shouts. It's not safe. But Maria is already pushing through the barn door, her dark eyes wide with concern. I saw Sheriff Brennan's horse outside. What's happening? Where's your uncle? Brennan's smile returns, cold and calculating. Perfect timing, Miss Santos. Or should I say, Miss Vasquez. Jake's world tilts. What? Maria's face changes, the mask of concern falling away to reveal something harder, more dangerous. Hello, cousin. The word hits Jake like a physical blow. Cousin? Maria Vasquez Santos, she says, her voice carrying a slight accent that Jake had always found charming. Great-granddaughter of Miguel Vasquez. I've been looking for that map for a very long time. Jake's mind reels. You knew? All this time, you knew who I was? I knew your uncle was one of the men who killed my family. I knew he had the map, and I knew that eventually his guilt would lead him to try to make amends. Maria's eyes are cold as winter stars. I just didn't expect him to involve his innocent nephew. Brennan chuckles. Ain't love grand? Two young people brought together by murder and betrayal. Shut up, Maria snaps, then turns back to Jake. I didn't plan for this to happen. Didn't plan to care about you. But the map belongs to my family. The mine belongs to my people. Jake looks between them, understanding dawning like a terrible sunrise. You're working together. Business partners, Brennan confirms. Miss Santos here has been very helpful in tracking down the surviving members of the families we displaced. Amazing how many of them have tried to come back over the years, looking for their stolen inheritance. And you killed them all, Jake whispers. Maria's face flickers with something that might be regret. Not all. Some we simply discouraged. But yes, when necessary, we eliminated threats to our operation. The betrayal cuts deeper than any knife. Jake had trusted her, loved her, planned a future with her. And all the while, she'd been using him to get to his uncle's secrets. The mine. Jake says slowly. You're not planning to reclaim it for your people. You're planning to loot it. Maria's silence is answer enough. Here's what's going to happen. Brennan says, his rifle steady once again. You're going to give us that map and that ledger. In exchange, we'll let you ride out of Texas and never come back. You can start a new life somewhere else. Forget all about this unpleasantness. And if I refuse, then you join your uncle in whatever hole we threw him in. Jake looks at the map in his hands, then at the ledger filled with the names of the dead. Dozens of families, hundreds of innocent people murdered for their land and silver. His own family among them. But Maria is right about one thing. The mine does belong to the Vasquez family. To the survivors scattered across Mexico and the American Southwest, living in poverty while their stolen wealth sits buried in the desert. There's a third option, Jake says quietly. Brennan's eyes narrow. I'm listening. I take this map to the territorial governor. I show him the ledger. I tell him about the systematic murder of Mexican families and the theft of their land grants. Jake's voice grows stronger with each word. I make sure the world knows what really happened here. You'd destroy your own family's name, Maria says. Your uncle's reputation, your mother's memory. My mother's memory deserves the truth, and my uncle. Jake looks around the barn, at the blood on the floor, at the hidden compartments filled with secrets. Maybe Uncle Ezra was trying to make things right. Maybe that's why he kept these records. Maybe that's why he died. Brennan laughs harshly. You think anyone will care about a bunch of dead Mexicans? This is Texas, boy. We won the war. Winners write the history books. Maybe, but I have to try. Jake's hand moves to his gun, but not to draw it. Instead, he removes the bullets one by one, letting them fall to the barn floor where they clatter among the broken glass. I won't kill you, he says to Brennan and Maria. Won't make myself like you. But I won't let you kill anyone else either. You're making a mistake, Jake, Maria says, and for a moment her voice carries genuine emotion. We could have been partners, could have shared the silver, could have built a life together, built on blood money, built on lies. Jake shakes his head. That's not a life, Maria. That's just another kind of death. He looks at the map one more time, memorizing its details. The landmarks, the route to the mine, the location of his family's stolen legacy. Then, deliberately, he tears the map in half. No. Maria lunges forward, but Jake is already moving, tearing the leather into smaller and smaller pieces. Brennan's rifle booms in the confined space of the barn. The bullet splinters wood inches from Jake's head, but he doesn't stop. He tears the map into confetti, letting the pieces fall like snow around his boots. The ledger, Brennan shouts. Get the ledger. But Jake is already moving, the leather-bound book clutched to his chest as he dives through the barn's back window. Glass cuts his face and hands, but he rolls with the impact, coming up running. Behind him, he hears Maria screaming in frustration and Brennan cursing as he tries to reload. Jake doesn't look back. He runs toward his horse, toward town, toward the territorial capital where justice might still have meaning. The ledger bounces against his ribs with each step, its pages full of names that deserve to be remembered, families that deserve justice, a truth that deserves to be told. 3 days later, Jake sits in the territorial governor's office in Austin, the ledger open on the mahogany desk between them. Governor Richards reads in silence, his face growing graver with each page. This is comprehensive, the governor finally says. If even half of these allegations are true, they're all true, Jake says quietly. Every name, every date, every stolen acre. The governor closes the ledger and looks at Jake with something approaching respect. You realize what this means for your family, for your uncle's reputation. I realize what it means for the families who were murdered, for the children who grew up in poverty while their inheritance sat in American banks. Richards nods slowly. There will be investigations, trials. Some very powerful men will fall. Good. And you? What will you do now? Jake looks out the window at the Texas sky, vast and blue and full of possibilities. I'm going to find the mine. The real one, not the location on that map. I think Uncle Ezra moved the markers to protect it. I'm going to find it, and I'm going to make sure it goes back to the families it belongs to. That could take years, decades. Then that's how long it takes. The governor extends his hand. You're a good man, Jake Martinez. Your mother would be proud. Jake shakes the offered hand, feeling the weight of his decision settle around his shoulders like a familiar coat. It won't be easy. There will be danger, hardship, probably more betrayal. But for the first time since finding that compass in Uncle Ezra's barn, he feels like he can breathe freely. Some inheritances are worth more than silver. Some truths are worth more than comfort. And some choices, once made, echo through generations. 6 months later, Sheriff Tom Brennan is arrested on charges of murder and conspiracy. Maria Santos disappears into Mexico, never to be seen again. The territorial government begins the long process of returning stolen lands to their rightful owners. Jake Martinez spends the next 5 years tracking down the descendants of murdered families, using Uncle Ezra's detailed records to reunite them with their stolen inheritance. He never finds the Vasquez mine. Some secrets, he decides, are better left buried. But he does find something more valuable. The knowledge that a man's worth isn't measured by the gold in his pocket, but by the courage to do what's right, even when it costs him everything he thought he wanted. Uncle Ezra's barn still stands on the Martinez ranch, but the hidden compartments are empty now. The only treasure they hold is the memory of a young cowboy who chose truth over gold and justice over comfort. Some maps lead to silver. Others lead to something far more precious, the chance to be the man you were meant to be. If this story of courage and moral choice in the face of family secrets moved you, please subscribe to our channel for more tales of the American frontier, where ordinary people face extraordinary decisions. Next week, we'll explore the preacher's gamble, when a small-town minister discovers his church was built on land stolen from a Native American burial ground. He must choose between his congregation's comfort and his conscience. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss it, and let us know in the comments. Would you have destroyed the map like Jake did, or tried to find another way? Sometimes the hardest treasures to find are the ones that live in our hearts.